Welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime. Today, we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll learn about a program that's helping students develop creative, critical thinking skills while opening some doors to careers in the film industry. And after that, we'll sit with an education leader who's voiced concern over the lack of support from mayoral candidates and the urgent need for action to strengthen educational programs. And lastly, we shine a spotlight on an iconic event that is empowering and celebrating the creative accomplishment of women filmmakers. So we encourage you to stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I am Daren Jaime. You are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Some things have been going on through the course of the past week. We'll take you through some of it with our Bronx updates. We start with education news. New York City Mayor Eric Adams and Schools Chancellor Melissa Aviles Ramos have unveiled plans to open 7 new public schools by next fall. The initiative aims to expand career tech education, support students with print-based learning disabilities, and ease overcrowding in high-demand neighborhoods. The new schools will be located across the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. And in the Bronx, STEAM Center will open in September 2025. That's focusing on science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. It'll serve high school students across districts 8, 10, and 11, offering hands-on learning to prepare students for real-world challenges. In other news, Fordham University's Out of the Darkness Campus Walk is an annual event in partnership with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, raising suicide prevention awareness. Our BronxNet reporter, Maddie Delbella, has a story.
As the rain in early April continues to fall, a select few continue to walk on for the shared goal of making sure everyone is heard and everyone is seen. Fordham University's annual Suicide Prevention Walk looks to turn complete strangers into friends towards a goal larger than themselves.
We're here to remember those and honor those who lost their lives or struggle every day with that tough battle. And, personally, I can connect to that. I'm sure so many of us can.
Outside of Fordham University's Keating Hall, the Out of the Darkness Campus Walk comes alive through a collaboration with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, as student organizers and volunteers in colorful team shirts gather for a loop around campus, eventually returning to Keating Steps, where tables are set with mental health resources from local Bronx businesses sponsoring the event, with a goal to raise $10,000 for the AFSP.
The walk itself is a giant lap around campus, and our walk really brings our community together to have an open conversation about mental health. Oftentimes there's a stigma and it causes people to feel alone and as though they cannot have a conversation. But through our walk, we bring together families, alumni, faculty, and all of our students.
Donning bead necklaces, attendees wear unique colors representing different mental health struggles as a means to find instant connection and solidarity among today's participants, even between total strangers, still united by the same purpose.
I'm walking in support of a family member who lost his life to suicide.
Today I'm walking in support of some friends and family that have lost their lives to suicide.
I'm here in support of my friend's dad. His name is Brad. Shout out Brad.
The CDC shows there were roughly over 49,000 suicide-related deaths in the United States in 2023. And while updated statistics are not confirmed, the data trends suggest similar or even higher numbers of those affected in 2024. Fordham representatives say open conversations about mental health is often one of the strongest approaches in their ongoing effort, much like today, for breaking through to treatment, all the while breaking down stigmas.
They're not alone. There's always going to be someone who's there to listen to them and hear them and support them, so you're never alone.
On East Fordham Road, Madi Dembele, BronxNet Community Television.
And thank you, Marty. In safety news, 500 New York City bodegas will soon be equipped with emergency panic buttons. This announced by New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Now, the buttons are part of a $1.6 million initiative aimed at enhancing safety for staff and customers. The program, called Silent Shields, targets bodegas with higher crime rates. With funding from an emergency grant to the United Bodega Association, the panic buttons will connect directly to the NYPD cameras, allowing officers to respond faster during emergencies. The initiative comes after a string of violent incidents in bodegas, including a recent stabbing and shooting death in Inwood, right here in the Bronx. And the technology will be installed in the coming months through the specific locations, remaining confidential, of course, for safety reasons. In other news, the Bronx People's Credit Union and partners aim to reestablish local credit unions right here in the borough of the Bronx, promoting literacy, I should say financial literacy, as well as enabling residents to invest in their present and future. Now, the credit unions are a significant opportunity for eligible community members. Our BronxNet reporter, William Longo, has more details.
The opening of the Bronx People's Credit Union's newest branch marks a monumental step in empowering the communities across the borough with accessible financial services while boosting economic growth.
This is an incredible opportunity for us here in the Bronx to have a credit union, to celebrate and to have access to lower interest rates, to more banking opportunities. And so it's a wonderful day here, and we're here to celebrate and to open a next chapter here for banking and financial services in the Bronx.
With the Bronx historically undersupported by banking, Vice President of WEDCO, the Women's Housing and Economic Development Corporation, and proud partner of today's grand opening, Carrie McLean, tells BronxNet that the borough getting access to a new, reliable credit union is instrumental.
WEDCO, Nos Quedamos, UNHP, and Banana Kelly have come together to form the Bronx Financial Access Coalition and partnered with the Lower East Side People's Federal Credit Union to bring the Bronx People's Federal Credit Union behind me to the Bronx. And we need this first branch to succeed.
The Bronx Financial Access Coalition seeks to provide extensive banking and financial literacy opportunities for all eligible Bronxites, a massive move for many residents who have not previously had access to these essential resources.
On behalf of the credit union to tell you testimony, and I say, you know what, it's the least I could do to go and thank them, because thanks to them today, you know, I'm able to have a new car, I'm able to not have credit card debt, and it's been amazing.
In a historically underserved borough, the Bronx People's Federal Credit Union seeks to return banking to the residents of the Bronx. It is essential to provide credit unions such as these ones to Bronxites to allow them to invest in themselves as well as their futures. On Intervale Avenue, William Longo, BronxNet Community Television.
And thank you, William. Participants at the New York City Public Library in the Bronx viewed the documentary American Delivery, which highlights the perilous experiences of pregnant women and new mothers. The film contrasts maternal health care in the U.S. with that of other countries, emphasizing the underutilized roles of midwives in America. Our BronxNet reporter, Nova Bajamanti, was there. She gives us a story right now.
Participants arrived at the New York Public Library in the Bronx to watch the informative documentary, American Delivery. The film focuses on the life-threatening challenges that women face while pregnant and during childbirth. It also shows the major systemic differences when it comes to maternal care in the States versus overseas. The biggest difference is the proactive use of midwives, which is often overlooked in America.
I see midwives as the essential, critical part of it, and there's so many studies that show midwives making an impact that they do, and that, you know, they have the saying, midwives save lives. I go by that, and that's part of why I'm a big advocate for more integration and expansion of scope of midwives in New York.
Midwives believes that we we're not here to manage your health care. We're here to support it to the best that we can. And so there are many things that impact a woman's health, whether she has a home, whether she can eat well, whether she has, a job that allows her to have a sustainable life. There are many, many things that impact a woman's ability to be healthy. And if you're healthy before you become pregnant, then your outcome is even better. So we not only focus on the woman's health at that particular time when we see her, but we focus on all the other things that would impact her life that would enable her to be healthy and have a good women's health reproductive state.
After the impactful screening, there was a helpful discussion between doulas and midwives and audience members on how to prepare for a safe and healthy maternal journey.
I think the biggest thing to take away as far as incorporation goes is learning about the accessibility that a specific hospital provides. So moving forward, not necessarily for giving birth, but for any kind of services, making sure that what you want before being exposed to what the hospital has to offer will be really helpful in navigating where to actually find appropriate care, because medical care isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. So it's important to have your own kind of expectations prior to going into an organization, then your expectations can be weighed.
Today's screening and conversation focused on the systemic problems in the United States when it comes to maternal care. Reporting for BronxNet, I'm Nova.
And thank you, Nova. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We're taking a quick break, but guess what? We have more open when we return.
We're going to start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
And welcome back. 5 for 5 Films empowers students to develop critical thinking as well as teaching them the craft of filmmaking. Through hands-on experience, they learn everything from writing, acting, editing, all while building character traits like teamwork and confidence. Joining me now to tell us more are 5 for 5 Films co-founder Josh Raff, lead instructor Christopher Crook, and then also participants Samir Diaz and Shalone Allison. And welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you. And got to be excited for this opportunity to really transform the lives of students by offering them, an experience and exposure to film.
It's great. Yeah, we're happy to be here. We've been on before, and it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And we're getting the chance, in addition to exposing them to filmmaking when we do the programs, but getting opportunities like this to come on and bring some of our best and brightest onto a show and get them more exposure into media.
Yeah. So what inspired you to really come up with this?
The concept of the program. Well, so CRISPR, who's on the end, who's one of our strongest and most valuable team members, was actually one of our students in our pilot program years ago, and became pursued filmmaking and now works with the organization. And so that kind of ability effort to give back and to inspire is what pays off for us.
Yeah. Walk me through a typical day for you.
Typical day. I teach the kids. What we do is we help the students create their own stories, original stories. We make them choose their favorite ones by voting, help them polish their stories up a little bit. We leave it to the floor and the students to choose who can be in the leading roles, supporting roles, camera, directing, slate, and we help them through the process.
Both had the opportunity to take part in this. Now, what did you do? Direct? Well, yeah, I technically you walked in all of this, didn't you?
I feel like it was very fun. It was definitely more fun, even though we had to retake a few scenes, you know. And you know, it was never really boring because Sharon would always be making jokes behind the camera. But yeah.
So what did this do for you? I mean, this whole experience, did it help you say, listen, I can do this as a career? Did it give you the confidence to go on? What did you feel about?
Happy because I had more time to spend with my friends rather than focus on schoolwork constantly. So it was a break for me to enjoy time.
And so as they're going through this here, obviously they're getting the steps, the hands-on. Are you finding that students are now getting the bug, if you will, after being exposed? Because sometimes people are like, we'll see how this goes. But now you're getting. It seems like you're getting more and more. They just get the bug.
Some yes, some no. And it's great when it happens. But we're not pushing that per se. That's my passion. That's CRISPR's passion. We love it. And if we can, impart that on our students, then. But beyond that, if they're showing up and they're participating in the filmmaking process and they're enjoying that, that's really our goal. And then we get to see, when they see the films on the big screen, so to speak, that's when it really comes through. So however, wherever they want to pursue their careers beyond, if it's in film, we'll help them, we'll be there. But if it's something else in life, if they're getting the skills that they seek for that career, that's also a win for us.
You mentioned the big screen. Something's coming up.
Yeah, nice segue.
Yeah, it is.
May 29th. So we do our culminating event is the 5 for 5 Film Festival. We do it every year since we've existed, and that's happening on Thursday, May 29th. And this year we're in association with the Inwood Film Festival, which is great for us to be partnered with them. And our event sort of kicks off their event. So it's in Inwood over at the Columbia University Sports Center, at the Campbell Sports Center. It's from 3 p.m. to 5:30. There's food, there's a red carpet, and then we do an hour of the film screenings, all the original works that our students have done through the year. It's free, it's open to the public, so come one, come all.
Right. What was the hardest part in putting this film together?
I guess the hardest part was getting everybody to focus and be on point, and the background was also a problem. I had to direct to be oh, this is in the scene, we need to get it out,
Right. As an actor, how hard was it for you?
I would say it varies, definitely on when you're during the whole film production. It depends, because I feel during the start of the filmmaking process, I was a little more nervous and a little bit more shy when it came to the camera. But I feel slowly I became a little bit more confident being on the screen, and I kind of got used to it.
Yeah, and you have a passion for turning it around now. So you started as a student, now you're teaching students. What was the turning point for you to say, hey, you know what? I want to continue in this. I want to help others do this.
Funny enough, I'm eternally grateful to 5 for 5, Josh and Jordan, because I didn't really know what it was that I wanted to do. And when they came through my high school, my senior year, it exposed me to something that at that point I didn't know what it could be, but I just knew that I liked it. So from then on, I just went into my own little journey, and then here we are.
Now, Josh said a few seconds ago that sometimes people stick with it, sometimes they don't. What do you think you're going to do after having this experience? Are you sticking with it, or where's it going for you?
I might do it as a hobby, because I still enjoy being behind the camera and capturing moments.
Mm-hmm. And for yourself?
I feel like I'm going to agree with Sharon, because I feel like it might develop into a long-term thing. That's an uncertain thing right now, but I feel like it's definitely a good hobby that I have right now that helps me a lot of real life. issues.
It's gonna be the side hustle. You know?
Yeah, the side hustle.
I got that going. And Josh, I think the last time we spoke, doing the same thing, and then you're watching the evolution. How have things changed and transitioned down through the years for the organization and what you're doing?
Yeah, we've grown. Number one is to always be looking to expand and get into more schools and help as many students as possible. The program has gone, it started as just after school, and now we push into schools and we commandeer an English class or a history class, so we're both in school and after school, and then we also have a summer movie camp. So that's free to students. We just want to expose kids in the right way to media arts, give them an experience, maybe inspire some to make some great films, and do it in a way that is helpful to all. So we're kind of building new programs, and we became a nonprofit last year, and so there's ways that the program has evolved that I'm really proud of.
Yeah. A little nervous when you get to see yourself on the big screen?
I'm not really on the screen. I'm behind the camera,
Well,
so it's like...
yeah, see your work, I'll put it like that. Yeah, that's the good part, right?
Yeah, I see my work on the screen, and I'm like, oh, I kind of need to improve because, I feel like I need to improve on the work I've done in the past, and I have, actually. So I'm glad about that.
Oh, she's lucky because she's not on the actual screen. Oh. So for me, it depends, because sometimes I'm like, oh, this scene was very beautiful, and then I'm just looking after on the screen, I'm like, this looks so weird. My hair looks so weird in this scene. And it depends, because there's sometimes where I'm just like very nervous about it, and I just don't want to see the scene, and there's sometimes I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't even like watching myself, so I just watch it. So sometimes just can we do something else? That's it. So I get the feeling, but be proud of the work that you do, because you put a lot of work and effort into it. And listen, you'll get another chance if you want it. And that's what it's all about, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Walking away with the experience, walking away with the exposure, and what does that mean in the life of some of your students? Because you've got some great alumni.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, CRISPR is a shining example. We've had some students go on to take some acting courses or do some work as PAs on film sets, and so that opportunity is there. And again, it's like we don't want to push it. It's not for everybody. It's it's a certain road you have to take. But some people, if they want to keep it as a side, endeavor with passion for making film, like I love that. So it's hands off. It's hands on and it's hands off at the same time.
Right. In some ways, CRISPR, the work that you do, right, helps people to really be able to find their voice. And sometimes it's behind the camera, and there's a voice behind that. Sometimes it's in front of the camera. Sometimes it's just understanding the technical piece. How do you feel about the fact that you're really helping people to be able to find your voice? Because I think that's how you found yours.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, because sometimes you see these kids and they just, when you give them the room to improvise, they come up with certain things and performances and ideas for shots or things that you didn't really expect in a way. And it's just beautiful to see them, get to exercise that creative muscle,
Yeah. So what advice would you give to some other students, or what message would you like to send to other students who may be even thinking about this?
I would say go for it. It's very open. You get to express yourself. No idea is a bad idea, honestly.
I completely agree with her. You can really build a lot of real life skills, actually, also, like confidence. You can even learn to express yourself a little bit more. If you're a more like introverted person, you might, who knows, you might become an extrovert after you're done with it.
Right.
At least that's from my experience, but I feel like you can very much develop yourself over time during this program, so I would suggest just go for it.
And how much time did you have to spend preparing yourself to be in front of that camera?
Realistically, you're never ready to be in front of that camera. You just have to really go for it. And to be honest, you're always fully ready for it. You just have to believe that you're ready for it.
Okay. Put you to test them, man.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that,
These guys are really talented, and the school that they're a part of has done great work. The film that they produced last year that was referenced was we do in our self-contained festival, we have a best movie winner, so they won that, and then it screened recently, last week actually, at the New York City Public School Film Festival. So they should be very proud.
Yeah.
And we're proud to work with them.
And excited to have so many people just check you out and just see your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's for somebody who doesn't know about the technical aspect, just to have an opportunity to learn that aspect of the game. Speak to that, because that's a career all by itself.
Well, there's a lot of things that you could do behind the scenes because it takes a village to make a film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things that you could do is camera person. You can be AD, which keeps everybody on time.
Right.
Right. You can be Slade. You can be an editor sometimes, and it's good to give them a structure, you know, that has to do with something creative and leads to a team effort.
Yeah.
You know, and it's also awesome to see their reaction to the final product as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you guys, and ladies, I want to say God, ladies and guys. It's great to see you
Thank
again.
you. You
and
too.
continue the great work.
Thanks so much.
Again, let's put the date out there for people to
Cool.
check.
Yeah, Thursday, May 29th, 3 p.m. over in Inwood, and all are invited. All are welcome.
All right, Samir, you said you never know when you're going to be in front of the camera, right?
Yep.
Never know.
Never know.
So once you look at that camera right there, I'm gonna take this segment off right now, right? You see the teleprompter?
Mm-hmm.
You see what it says?
Yeah.
All right, read it to the people, man. We're gonna go to commercial. With you taking us to commercial. Good.
All right. For more information, you can visit the website at 5film.com. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back with more open right after this.
See? That's what I'm talking about. Right on the fly. We're learning right here. See you in a minute. And welcome back. As New York City's mayoral primary nears, candidates can actually shape the public education's future. Key initiatives, NYC Reads and NYC Solves, aims to close achievement gaps with evidence-based solutions. So far, only one top Democratic candidate publicly endorsing right now, but joining me now, we got the CEO of Teaching Matters, Lynette Guaetaferro. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, Daren.
And as we said, education is really critical. And as we know, the mayor has to work hand in hand with the Department of Education to really make sure that things are going well here in the city. But there are some concerns. And we've got a lot of educational concerns, literacy, we got teacher shortage, we got a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
And we've got the issues that you put to the forefront too, right? So from your perspective, as we're getting closer, give me a little bit of where do you see things, the lay of the land right now?
So the thing that's happened in the last few years, and I'm really optimistic about this. I've been in education now for 30 years, working in partnership with the NYC schools. In the last 4, something's happened that I've not seen in my entire career. And that is sort of a unified vision of everyone working together with similar curriculum based on reading science. For the first time, every teacher across the district is rowing in the same direction. And it's not just the schools. The foundations are all on board. organizations like mine, there's advocacy organizations, after-school organizations, tutoring, teacher development. You know, Teaching Matters is part of a group, Literacy Advisory Committee, that's been working with the schools. They really brought everybody to the table this time in a way I've never seen before. And so what we need, the candidates to know is that you're walking in to a bit of a family on this, and you got to come to the table and commit to this work, because this is not just a new, like an old mayor's program, and we're going to throw it out the baby with the bathwater. This is bigger than the New York City Public Schools. NYC Reads is a movement, and we need every single candidate to understand that and commit to it.
Yeah. And as you look at this movement, you've seen a lot of trajectory, upward trajectory. From your perspective, let's highlight some of that upward trajectory that you've seen. I know you talked about it just a few seconds ago, but share a little bit more about how you've seen things flow in the upward.
So one of the things that's changed is, for the first time, every single teacher across a school has, the same playbook. And I want you to imagine what that looks like in 5 years when those teachers become supervisors. For the first time, they're going to know exactly what the teachers are experiencing in the classroom and really be able to support them. When everyone has the same curriculum, it's not that the curriculum is the answer. A curriculum is half a solution, but what matters is everybody's playing from the same playbook. They can, they can figure out what needs to be fixed because they're all working in the same direction. So the thing that I've seen is this ability to problem solve that's not just classroom by classroom, it's school by school, district by district. Schools can walk from one school to another and learn. Kids who might be in a shelter go from one school and then they're moved to another, and they see the same curriculum when they go. So this is like it's a revolution for New York City schools. It's really, really different.
And for the borough of the Bronx, the opportunity for NYC Reads to really close that education gap, we've seen significant progress.
There has been. There's been movement in the Bronx, and the Bronx actually adopted NYC Reads. Many of the districts did it, this year is the first year they're implementing. The other thing we need is time. So Tennessee, the state of Tennessee has seen a huge increase in their reading. It took them 5 years of patience, of reforms just like this. So New York is the largest school system taking on high quality instructional materials across the city, but there are others that have gone ahead, and we know it works. And so, and if we do it at this scale, it shows the nation that this is the way to go. Yeah. And people are watching us, so we need to stay the course.
You're once quoted as saying these programs are not just good ideas, they're essential, and they're evidence-based solutions.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is based on reading science. We know now how students learn to read. And we haven't been doing it the right way for a long time. Some of this is common sense. I was talking to some, 30 years ago, I went to kindergarten in the Bronx, and I had phonics. At some point, we lost our way. We decided to throw out some of these old school practices, and they're back. So the reading science is actually telling us that we did 30 years ago with some of the things we need to bring back. Kids need to be able to, sound out their words, they need to be able to read with fluency, and they need to comprehend. And there's ways to teach that, and we know it. And it's built into these curriculums and these playbooks that teachers are now using together.
Right. Students don't have that success without teachers, no question about it. Teachers make the difference.
Absolutely.
And so where can we go in the area of teacher training to really leverage better outcomes for our students? We're glad for what we see, but of course we could always do better.
So and that's why I say it's not about a curriculum. And this is what I'm going to shout out the Department of Education on this, or NYCPS. They really brought in they knew professional development mattered, and they provided every school with coaching in a way that I have never seen in the history of schools. And so groups like Teaching Matters and other groups came in and were able to support. We are building and developing teachers as leaders who can now take this work on and work with the other teachers. So teacher professional development is key. It does not work without the teachers working together and collaborating and working with folks who have expertise in this, who can help them really understand how to implement the reading science in their classrooms.
Yeah, I've always talked about when you're in a classroom, and I'm not a teacher, but I've certainly talked about one of the challenges that I know the teachers face sometimes is the lack of cultural competence, right? That they're not really competent in the areas of knowing their students and what's going on in and around the environment. How do you address that issue? And how would you like to see that issue addressed moving forward under your umbrella?
So I think that's a really important issue, and the curriculum is not the answer to cultural competence. But what I think happens when teachers are working together on the same playbook is they can it's like they can say, here's an issue in the curriculum, and we want to improve on it together so we can set a goal. But if you understand, like if you're in sports and everybody knows the play, you improve on the play together. So cultural competence, the curriculum's not, I mean, look, okay, so many of the curriculums are dealing with cultural competence within them, but no curriculum can address the differences across New York City. Teachers have to know their students and respond to the students in front of them. So the first year is really unpacking this curriculum, really learning how to play it together. And then the second and third year, you're really saying, well, who's in front of me? And how do I make this curriculum work for the kids in front of me? And that's year 2 and year 3. And that's really, frankly, the really exciting work that we're looking forward to, which is why we need the mayor who comes in to stay the course.
Let's talk about that mayoral race for a minute. So far, we know there's several candidates that are out there. Only one to date so far is really given the endorsement.
We just did a webinar. A group of advocacy organizations and a few more have committed and said NYC reads and reading science is the way to go. But we need everyone to say up front that we understand that this movement is bigger than the mayor, and the mayor needs to come in and line up with it. So, for example, Cuomo, would like to hear from him. That's one. I'm not going to name any more names, but, we need, when new folks come in, you got to put your stamp on what you do, right? But in education, right now, put your stamp. You can improve things. You can come in and say, hey, there's some ways we can evolve it. But we need to make sure we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we've got to stay the course. That's all I'm saying. And there's so much support. It's just a win to go along. You'd have the support of foundations. You'd have the support of all the nonprofits. You'd have the support of so many of the districts. So there's no reason to not commit to this.
Right. Now, what does a lack of support mean for you?
We need to, so you know what it is? It's about what we know historically. So in history, everybody that comes in likes to put their stamp on it. And we know this. I mean, I've done this for 30 years. I've watched every administration come in and kind of like throw out what was done before. We're not doing that. We cannot do that this time. That's all I'm saying. We have got to stay the course in this particular initiative. And maybe there's no problem here, and I'm worried about it for no reason, but I just want to hear a commitment to it. I want to hear every mayor or every person who's running for mayor say, we are committed to NYC Reads.
English language learners, we know that there's a lot of challenges, particularly, with what we face in our classrooms right now. You hear families who say, listen, the situation continues to get really, challenging. How do you balance the challenges that they face, and then also the word I've been using throughout the course is the upward trajectory, right? How do we get them towards that upward trajectory? Because there's a gap there.
Yeah. So I'm not going to, so English language learners need curricula that's designed that has like materials that will support the teacher to support the curriculum for them. And we have seen there's 3 curricula that people are choosing from now, and some of them have it and some of them are still working on it. And so what I would say is that teachers need additional supports now around how do you support those groups of kids in your class for which the core instruction is not enough, that you have to do more interventions and smaller groups. And that's the focus of next year. We're working across the city specifically on how do teachers have time built into their day where they can work with smaller groups of kids on the specific needs that they have. But the thing is if you have kind of a standard approach, it's a lot easier to come up with those interventions and link them into the core. If everyone is recreating the wheel and it's 1,000 flowers blooming, I promise you, New York's been doing that for 60 years. It does not get us to where we need to go.
Yeah. And for your work, you said you've been around for a while, you've seen it work, and you've seen the challenges, and you've also seen the victories.
Yeah.
How do you see the future, given the fact that we're having such, monumental issues, coming out of COVID, things it's almost like you took 5 steps back, but yet and still we're able to take some steps forward. How do you see things playing out in the short future?
So the thing that's concerned me is attendance. Like we still haven't seen attendance come back since before. And it's really, it's like the zeitgeist has changed. The kids, for some reason, so parents got to get their kids to school. Kids have to be in school every day for all kids, so that's one area that I think we still have to do a significant work on. But in terms of the future, we have seen an uptick in our schools this year. So I am seeing, for like a couple of years it was going stagnant, but we are seeing an uptick. I think I'm going to give credit to NYC Reads because we're speaking the same language. You know, I always say it's not that we can all do the same thing, it's that we all understand it in a similar way so we can fix the problems together. And that is, you know, what I see the future is that we are working in a more collaborative, coherent way than I have ever seen. Again, it's not just the teachers. It's the nonprofits, it's the foundations. We can jump on a phone now and work together. And I'm going to give credit to the Department of Ed. They brought us together in a way I have never seen in 30 years.
That's awesome. How about teacher morale? I mean, what's that like? I mean, it should be high right now. School year's about to be over.
Well, you know, that last month is a lot.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But no, I think that what I've seen is that teachers like the support that they have in the sense that they're getting support from coaches. They also are not up all night writing their own lesson plans in the way they used to. They're learning, you know, they can spend time saying, who's in front of me and how do I make this work for the kids in front of me? And not spend all their time like recreating the wheel. You know, every first year teacher is working literally, you know, they come home and they're spending the next 6 hours lesson planning. That's not true for the new teachers that came into NYC Reads. So I think that this is a support to teachers. I think teachers will tell you the same thing. And so that morale in that way is up. It would be even higher if all the kids got to school.
Yeah, yeah. That's a major thing. And I think since COVID, a lot of people are still facing that. They face it in the workplace. They face it in the classroom. You'd be surprised, but the numbers just continue to just be there. And you're like, where's everybody at, right? But we're here. That's the most important. And I'm glad that you're here.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing. For people who want to get in touch, how do they do that?
So Teaching Matters, check us out on the website. It's www.teachingmatters.org. Then we're celebrating our 30-year anniversary this year. Very proud. And, you know, we love New York, and we are very happy to be here.
Well, glad to have you again, Lynette. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All righty. Now, listen, again, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website at teachingmatters.org. We encourage you to check it out. And we also encourage you, don't go anywhere. We've got more open coming up right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit BronxNet.org to learn more.
And we are back for 25 years. A groundbreaking film festival has elevated the voices of women behind the camera, championing bold and diverse stories. From red carpet premieres to dynamic workshops and industry panels, the African American Women in Cinema Film Festival has become one of the nation's most celebrated platforms for women filmmakers, especially from those who are from underrepresented communities. Joining me now, I'm pleased to have the president, founder of the African American Women in Cinema organization. We've got Terra Renee with us, and thank you for joining.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
I'm sitting here asking you before how long you've been here. You got 27 years. I'm like, that's a long time, but you've done the work.
Labor of love.
It is.
And so needed. And the talent that comes through and that we were able to showcase and still continue to showcase, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
When we look at film, we already know a lot of underrepresented voices in front of the camera, like we were talking about earlier, and behind the camera. You have the opportunity to really bridge in that gap. And so how do you feel about having that opportunity of being one that bridges the gap?
You know, it's a very fulfilling feeling. And it really comes into play every single time that I get the opportunity to execute an event. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yes. Listen, let's talk about your event. No problem. And you know, you got the Cheers Festival. What makes it for you this year special, and what puts the cherry on top for you?
25 years, my friend. This is the 25th edition. Pivotal point for us, and so we are going all out, if you will, highlighting those who have certainly contributed in the industry, but also have been a strong support of these incredible, talented women and African American women in cinema.
Right.
So we have, every night we're going to be honoring these powerful people and letting them know how much we appreciate them and to continue their contribution in the industry.
So I'm gonna ask you, you have a couple of honorees. I got Psych P. Marshall and Cheryl Hill. You decided they're worthy of honor. What makes them so special in your eyes?
Well, Sky Marshall is, right now she's presently starring in the CBS show Matlock along with Kathy Bates. And so she is the recipient of our Trailblazer Award. And the Trailblazers, who we deemed have paved the way or continue to pave the way for those who are following in their footsteps and their inspiration to many. Cheryl Hill, a renowned filmmaker, producer. She has been around for a long time, and I don't know if any of your listening audience may have heard of the Cheetah Girls. That was her claim to fame, and she had produced many Disney films. And Felicia D. Henderson. Some of your audience may know the TV show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right.
All right. She's one of the writers. Sister, one of the executive producers. And she recently put out an incredible film called The Rebel Girls. Powerful, moving piece of cinematic masterpiece. And it deals with the young girls who had marched during the time of Dr. King, during the Civil Rights Movement. And they were kidnapped by, I believe, a sheriff. And no one knew where they were. And they, after many days being the recipient of having snakes thrown at them, raw meat thrown at them, they were able to break free. And 2 of them are still alive today.
Amazing, amazing. You know, there's so many different stories and so many things that we would never know about if it wasn't for independent film and people who are in underrepresented communities bringing stories to light. We're hearing right now and seeing right now the erasure of history.
Yes.
You know, and it's so prevalent. First, for a person like yourself, for such a time as this, right? What does that mean for you, given the fact when you're watching the erasing of history, but then yet and still you're able to promote history and talk about some of the major issues that are going on in society?
It's empowering. We get to be a brighter light in ever-increasing darkness. And darkness referencing lack of information.
Right.
And so to be able to have a platform that says, listen, let me tell you what happened. Let me show you what happened in its most richest form, not washed, or not chopped up, but in its authentic form. I think that's certainly a powerful place to be.
Yeah. Equality, equity are 2 big things that we talk about. There is a panel that you have talking about, the politics of women in film, right? And how political it is. Without giving the whole, without giving the whole thing away, share with us about how just your take on that.
Well, this panel that's called The Politics of Black Women in Film, we actually debuted it during the Sundance Film Festival back in January, and actually is in partnership with another organization called Image Nation. And the rareness and the rawness and the insightfulness of what these powerful women came to the table with, because they pulled back the veil and shared what a lot of times happened behind the scenes when you're working in some of the Hollywood places. And they were unafraid. And so there were many things and revelations that we got from that panel that was just absolutely mind-blowing, from different types of emails that was sent for one type of director because of the color of their skin versus another type of email that was sent because they're a whole different, different race. And it equated to different budgets, one less budget than the other, but still had to execute on the same level as if they were equally, on the same page.
Right.
And so highlighting these type of things that never get really spoken about, was a powerful dynamic. And so those who come and listen to that panel this time around, I guarantee you're going to walk away with something tangible that will, I think, certainly for me, cause me to just think on it and chew on it for many, many days.
There's this discussion about mainstream and independent,
yes.
Right? I got a lot of people ask me all the time, hey, well, why aren't you, at the network? And I'm like, well, we've had opportunity and other reasons, but I love what I do in this format. You get to be a voice. You get to tell stories that sometimes don't get told, right? And everybody who's behind the film, behind making a film or putting a film out there, always says, listen, I don't always want to do the mainstream. I want to be able to keep my own, tell my own story, and be able to tell the real story without that. How do we keep that movement of the narrative storytelling, of being able to keep your own voice and tell your own story, and and let it be okay? Because if you ask a lot of people, they'll say, I won't make this, the reason I'm going to make this move to mainstream is because of the money. But if there was more money over here, I would definitely want to do what I do.
Technology now plays a phenomenal role in being able to maintain an independent voice, with outlets such as YouTube or even Vimeo. When we got started many moons ago, you had to purchase actual physical film, and you had to purchase actual sound tape, and then you had to get a steam back. And for your audience who may not know what I'm talking about, it is actually an editing machine. And so with technology today, we actually screened a film that a young lady did on her iPhone, shot the entire film on her iPhone. And so what I noticed, some of the filmmakers, if they decide to follow that model, they either set up their own website or they have a YouTube channel, and they drive traffic, friends, colleagues, family members. And that is how they stay in power to maintain their independent voice and be able to share, in its most, going back to my favorite word, authentic form.
Yeah. So for people who want to get, be a part of this, talk about the date, the time, where they can go, what they can do.
Well, they can go to our website. It's the acronym of African American Women in Cinema. It's AAWIC.org, because we're a nonprofit organization. Festival is going to be May 15th through the 17th. Super excited about that at LaGuardia Community College. And so we're starting out with a VIP red carpet opening night, And then the next days are going to be filled with education, film screenings, networking opportunities. And so it's a good time for community, for people to come together and just see the great work that's out there.
Yeah. After doing this for 27 years, and to see it in its form this year compared to where you've been, what's that transition been like from where you are to where you are today? How do you feel?
Fulfilled. Stronger. And happy. Because, you know, when you take on these type of mantles, you will go, you know, against the grain of society. And when you do that, it's a lot of pushback. But if you can stay the course, hold the line, it is very rewarding on many levels.
Right.
A lot of insight, a lot of wisdom. And like you said, I think it qualifies you to be that gap, you know, between those who are telling the stories and those who need to hear the stories. And you're strong enough to hold the two together, and that comes through the process.
You know, a few minutes ago, you were telling us the history about how, you know, we had to get these machines and do this and do that. But you now have the opportunity of going hybrid. How's that been for you with the hybrid, just like everybody else? What's hybrid like for you?
It's great. You know, I have to admit, we've been doing the film festival in person for many, many years. And then when COVID came, we were in the throes. I was about to put the bow on the present, and then COVID. And so after many, many months, I start getting the calls, do you have films? Do you have films? And then the call came, said, well, why don't you put the film festival online? I said, oh, no, we can't do that.
Right.
Jeopardize these films. They're trying to get a distribution deal, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we tried it, and it was the best thing. And we have been hybrid ever since.
Wow.
So it enabled us to, of course, broaden the audience. And those programs that are online during the film festival, we have last year, thousands came to the site. And I didn't realize it. And so, so we're happy to bring it back again this year.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you congratulations.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing what this year brings.
Yes, please.
I know it's a labor of love for you.
Yes.
But as you see the fruits of your labor,
yes,
be encouraged.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And we're glad for having her with us here on Open. And guess what? We want more information. Go ahead, visit the website, aawic.org. And I guarantee you that you can get connected to film. You can find out about the latest going-ons, and as I said, there's hybrid available for you as well. All right, everybody. Well, unfortunately, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us. Most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, catch the recablecast here on Optimum Channel 67, Verizon Fios, that's Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You, of course, can catch a brand new episode of Open with my girl, Rena Valentine. She's coming on Friday, Café con Leche. That about wraps up this episode for us. I am Daren Jaime. Make sure to keep this channel wide open, saying take care and God bless.